My name is Keating. I'm a contemporary visual artist based in Melbourne, Australia. I frequently work beyond the gallery. This stemmed from 8 to 10 years ago when I was throwing pots of paint and using fire extinguishers to paint really quick abstract paintings in the urban environment. Years later, in 2009, I worked with various organisations to create Activate 2750, a project which involved intercepting large trucks of industrial waste and dumping that waste in the city centre of Penrith. Alongside this, we staged a procession of performances that extended into the retail precinct of Penrith. In 2010, I collaborated with architect Dorian Farr and graphic designer David Campbell to create Gardensity, a fictional development for the future of Christchurch. The project was marketed like a typical commercial building development as a provocation for community discussion. Following Gardensity, we continued this discussion in Seoul, Korea, by creating Namsan Plus, another fictional development focusing on high-end luxury living in Seoul. In 2012, we created a similar campaign on the front windows of Gertrude Contemporary, and we branded that as Gertrude Modern.
The Namsan Plus work, which was the work created for Seoul, was a much more exaggerated, gargantuan, lifestyle living on steroids. The work for Gertrude is a much more borderline incursion. Gertrude Modern is really tying into recent conversations around gentrification and the recent sale of the Gertrude Contemporary building.
So it's a photo montage of a typical developer piece of architecture, similar to the type of stuff that's going on around Fitzroy. It's a little bit like fashion architecture. And what we're interested in is how people react to that, how people feel about that.
We've gone for an image that, in a moment, could represent to the individual something that might actually be occurring. Lots of people have been stopping and been captivated because there's that moment where they think that this could potentially occur.
It's actually a place, among others, that have helped create the interest in this area and the development in the area. And so the possibility that can just be cast aside. I'm not necessarily against high density living. Ultimately, environmentally, that's the way we have to go to sustain ourselves. What we're interested in is sort of reflecting what's happening in the area and just being part of that discussion and prompting that discussion. My latest project is called the West Park Proposition. It's a large tilt slab factory on the edge of the western industrial boundary of Melbourne, where a lot of new factories are being built. I wanted to create a proposition about how aesthetically they should be considered.
So you reckon 2 more passes?
Well, we're going to finish that green.
Yeah, let me do what I did before now.
Prep all of the buckets. So yeah, he's going to do green across.
I created a work that is actually just a large-scale painting, replicating the colours of the surrounding landscape.
We were really interested in his work for the way that it engages with major contemporary moral issues, but also the way that his work moves from the gallery space outside into the urban context and seeks to address, some really interesting challenges that we face in our time.
There's a conceptual side to the work, which is the camouflage proposition, the end product, which you sort of see here, and the artwork itself separate to the painting, which is now just a relic of that process-based performance.
Ash, working with Jason Heller, has really made this montage of film and video footage, which documents the process of the painting performance itself.
It's kind of an interesting art project because this is the painting, is what's happening now, and then the installation is going to be like a record of the painting. It's just a matter of finishing this and then taking it to the edit and turning it into something completely different.
It's quite a wild, energetic performance, and there's a certain, symbolic, ceremonial sort of play. So it isn't only about the finished product, it's actually about the process of encounter with the urban environment itself.
The last project that I did that involved a large-scale painting intervention was in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, 2009. So when I got to Yogyakarta, I found that there were many vacant spaces of urban ruin, one from the 2006 earthquake that happened there. Immediately when I got there, I thought, I might paint one of these spaces, sort of just a bright colour to change the aesthetics. A lot of the kids that lived in the community wanted to be involved as well. And so when I started, it was just a couple of kids working with me, and within a day or two, there was 25 kids of all different ages helping paint this space from just broken concrete turned into this big orange landscape. That process was rewarding more than anything else, and that's, I guess, why I want to focus on the process with this new project.
This, I think, continues that same interest, but he's taking a closer look at the infrastructure that surrounds industrial production and equally its impact on the environment.
I want to talk about how we should consider our urban planning, the visual aspects of sort of what we surround ourselves with. It's an intervention, possibly a visual or aesthetic protest about these types of grey tilt slab environments, and it's a proposition about change of thinking around that.